December 4th, 1872, the Dea Grazia was sailing in the Atlantic Ocean when it came across a ship floating in the water. The vessel was being tossed about in the ocean and it appeared to be in distress, so David Morehouse, the captain of the Dea Grazia, hailed the ship. However, when no reply came, the Dea Grazia approached and boarded the ship. Captain Morehouse recognized her as the Marie Celeste and knew her captain, Benjamin Briggs. The Marie Celeste had left the port of New York 8 days before his own ship and should have arrived in Genoa, Italy by now. Captain Morehouse was surprised to see the vessel in such distress, and was even more shocked when on boarding the Marie Celeste he discovered that all of her passengers were missing. As the crew of the Dea Grazia went through the Marie Celeste, they noted that the ship was in seafaring condition. The belongings of the crew members were all present and relatively unharmed, and a meal was set in the galley. The logbook for the Marie Celeste was left out, with the last entry dated at November 24, 1872. The only things that were missing were a few nautical charts and a lifeboat. So whatever happened to the passengers of the Marie Celeste? No one ever found out. There are, however, a few theories. The first theory is that pirates kidnapped the crew of the Marie Celeste. Ottoman pirates were known to operate in the area where the ship was found, and traces of blood were found on deck and a sword in the galley. However, most historians believe that the blood came from gutting fish, and there is little factual evidence to support this idea. Furthermore, there is no evidence of a struggle on board, and many valuables were left behind. The second theory is that the captain and the crew abandoned the Marie Celeste after it was hit by a tsunami. There is a record of an earthquake in the Canary Islands, not far from where the Marie Celeste was found, and it is possible that the tremors from the earthquake caused a tsunami in the Atlantic Ocean. Tsunamis were not understood in the 1800s, and it is possible that if the swell hit the ship, it may have been sufficient cause for the captain to order to abandon ship in fear that another swell would be coming. There is evidence for this theory in slight damage to the ship's exterior, as well as some water intake in the hull. It would also explain the missing lifeboat. However, many argue that if such a tsunami had occurred, others would have noticed it as well. Another theory as to the whereabouts of the passengers of the ship is the explosion theory. The Marie Celeste was a merchant ship, which meant that she was carrying cargo in her hold. On this particular voyage, the Marie Celeste was bringing 1,700 barrels of alcohol across the Atlantic. Of these 1,700 barrels, none of them were made of red oak, and the rest were made of white oak. When the crew members of the Dea Grazia came on board, the Marie Celeste, all the barrels of alcohol were intact, minus the 9 barrels made of red oak. Since red oak is more porous than white oak, it is possible that vapor from the alcohol in these barrels seeped out and gathered pressure in the hull. Then, the friction of these barrels rubbing together created a spark, causing an explosion. This explosion may have been big enough to cause the captain to order to abandon ship. However, the main flaw of this theory is that when the crew of the Dea Grazia boarded the Marie Celeste to look for passengers, they did not notice smelling anything unusual. If such an explosion had really occurred, the ship would have reeked of alcohol when it was first investigated. Despite the appeal of many of these theories, we will never know the true fate of the crew of the Marie Celeste. Each theory comes complete with contradictions and an absence of evidence, and this is only magnified by the fact that no bodies were ever recovered. Some believe that unsolved mysteries of seamen disappearing centuries earlier are irrelevant to us today. However, perhaps it is the very nature of such unsolvable mysteries that activate our imaginations. We may never find out what happened on the Marie Celeste hours before she was abandoned, but we can always wonder.
This song is for the rats who hurled themselves into the ocean when they saw that the explosives in the cargo hold were just